Hey there, welcome to the channel. So Tara has been wanting some gluten-free biscuits and she found a new mix that she wants me to try out, so I thought I would share it with you guys. I'm Jamie with SavorySaver. I share gluten-free recipes, tips, tricks, and resources to make your gluten-free lifestyle easier. So please consider hitting subscribe and let's get started. So before we get this recipe started, let's go ahead and go over the product and just a few things about the product. I do have a couple other gluten-free biscuit recipes on the channel if you want to check those out. I have one that is from Charleston Biscuit Company. They are gluten-free biscuits. It's a packet mix. It only takes their mix and heavy cream, and that's all you need to make those. I also have another one that I made using Walmart's Great Value gluten-free flour. Those also came out really good. Both of those are great. So if you want to do them from scratch or you want to do them with a mix, those two options are on the channel. This is another mix. It's by Daddy-O. She found this, I think, actually on Facebook at some point. There was an ad or something, and she bought it so we could try it. So they're out of Columbus, Ohio, and I looked briefly online, and I actually think in Columbus they have a gluten-free restaurant / cafe. So I will link down below to all of that stuff so you can check them out. It'll have a link to, if you want to buy this or not. Let's go over the ingredients. I like to do that, especially with gluten-free products, because so many of you have other allergies besides gluten. So the ingredients in this mix: cornstarch, white rice flour, brown rice flour, rBST-Free milk powder, tapioca flour, potato starch, xanthan gum, sodium bicarbonate, which is of course baking soda, monocalcium phosphate, and salt. So it does contain dairy, so if you have dairy sensitivity, you're not going to be able to have this. We're also, the ingredient going into this, it's just two ingredients. It's the mix and heavy cream, which is similar to the Charleston Company biscuits that I made. So there's milk in this, so you dairy-free people are not going to be able to have this. The instructions are easy. Doesn't look like it's going to take a lot to put them together. So let's jump into it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my oven on to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. That's super high for biscuits, but if I remember correctly, the Charleston Biscuit Company also bake theirs pretty high. The other thing you want to do is get yourself a big flat cookie sheet, and you want to grease that down somehow, because we're going to put the biscuit dough on a greased cookie sheet. I'm using shortening. That's what I like, especially for things like this. I think that it gets better coverage than one of those sprays or even just plain oil. So I'm going to put some Crisco down, shortening, whatever you want to call it, and you use what you want. So let's get these mixed up. To start out, I have my silicone mat down. I'm going to use that to shape the biscuits on, just because it's a little less cleanup for me. Hopefully I can keep most of the mess on the mat and not on the counter. So I'm going to open up my package and pour everything in there. I'm also going to put a little bit of flour down, or a little bit of the mix rather, down on my board. Not much, just a sprinkle. Now, since it's been in the pack, just give it a quick mix with your fork, and that will just distribute everything evenly, or give the package a good shake before you open it. So the only ingredient besides our mix is 1.5 cups of heavy cream. So I'm going to take my fork, pour my cream in, and slowly mix it as I'm pouring in the cream. The instructions do say that you could also stir in a handful of cheese. So if you were going to do any kind of stir-ins, cheese, bacon, seasonings, you'd want to do that before you added your heavy cream. That way there you could distribute everything nice and evenly before you added the wet to it. Now it says to form the dough into a ball, because then we're going to flatten it out and make the biscuits. So I'm going to take my silicone spatula and try to gather as much of this as I can, and it'll mix the dough just a little bit more. Now what you want to do is flatten the dough a couple times, and we want to fold it over itself, because that's going to help give us some layers and help with rise. So I'm going to pat it down and then fold it, pat it down some more, maybe scrape it up a little bit. There we go. And if you feel like it's sticking too much, get out that normal gluten-free flour that you use for things and put a little bit more flour down on your board. Let's do one more fold. Now I want to press it down until it's about 1 inch thick. And then I am getting some sticking, so I think I'm going to grab a little bit of flour, I'm going to scrape that up, and I'm going to put a little bit more flour down on my board. All right, so I took a little bit more flour and put it down. I just grabbed King Arthur's measure for measure, and we'll do a little bit on top. Biscuits are typically a little sticky anyway, but this will make sure we can press it out nicely now. The dough really isn't that bad to work with, especially with that little bit of flour I added. I can feel the starchiness of the dough. It kind of has that spring to it, which I'm assuming is probably the cornstarch being the first ingredient. So I think I'm good with the thickness. It's around 1 inch probably. So cutting it, it says you can cut them anywhere from 2 inches to 2.5 inches. So Tara wants them a little bit bigger because you're gonna get a little more biscuit out of that. There goes the oven, it's ready for us. But you're gonna get a little more biscuit with a 2.5 inch because you can actually make, you know, a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit or a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. Those are, with the 2 inch biscuits, just not gonna be as big. The other thing I think I'm gonna do is the recipe said you could put a little bit of drizzled butter over the top. I think instead I'm gonna take a little bit of heavy cream because I have some left anyway. And I think we'll just brush a little bit of heavy cream across the top once we get these made. So I've got my pan. So let's take our cutter and just go as close to the edge as you can, down, and then up. And then hopefully they come out like that. It says to put them about 3 inches apart. I can't imagine they're gonna spread that much, but we're gonna try to do that. I'm gonna try to get everything on this one pan. Okay, let's take the scraps, put them back together, reshape the dough. I'm gonna go a little thicker on these. So this one's thicker, which I'm okay with. I'm gonna arrange them so I know what's what. And we're gonna see if they come out any different. So my biscuits are all cut, and actually 2 of my first set of biscuits is the size of my second set of biscuits. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to put these together and double stack them because that's gonna give me my inch biscuits. So that'll give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll give me my 8 biscuits. So I'm gonna try to get these together. I'm hoping that the layers, it doesn't matter. So let's see if I can do that. If we take a little bit of cream, all right, so I put 2 together with some heavy cream and then did a cut again to kind of push it back together. Let's see how that works. All right, I've reshaped everything. I actually think they look pretty good, even though I've done some reshaping. The 2 on the bottom, closest to my extra dough, these are the ones that are 1 inch thick to start with. The others have all been reshaped. So that's gonna be a little test to see if it works out for us or not with my thinking on the fly. Let's put a little cream on each one. This is just gonna help with browning. You could use butter if you wanted to. Okay, these are gonna go into the 450-degree preheated oven for 12 to 14 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. Then we're gonna let them cool for a couple minutes and I'll give this little one a taste. The gluten-free biscuits by Daddy-O's are baked. It did take the full 14 minutes until I thought they were golden enough to take out of the oven. So let's look at them. They all have varying degrees of rise. They're about the same height, but one thing, that was one of the re-rolled that I made taller to begin with, and I don't like those cracks on the top. I don't think it's gonna affect the flavor, but I don't like those because now if I cut that in half, it's probably not gonna be a good cut all the way across. This is nice and golden, and it's one of the ones that I actually put together, which now has a natural split. So I think these are gonna split really well. I will say, color-wise, on the bottoms, they're about the same. So they are nice and golden. They have a good texture in looking at them. They smell like regular biscuits. I like that. So those are good indications that even though they don't all look great, they still might taste really good. This is the baby one. So again, it's nice and golden. It cooked up in the same time. So if you're making 2-inch ones or the 2.5-inch ones, that's about 2 inches. They came out the same. So I'm gonna put a little bit of butter on part of it. Since we are doing butter on half, I'm going to split it this way so I can get top and bottom on each. You guys know I like to do half without butter and half with butter because I think I get a better feel for the taste of it, because once you add butter, it's better regardless usually. Butter it, and it is breaking up. So hopefully that is not an indication that they are dry. The heavy cream shouldn't really allow for them to be too dry, but we'll see. So let's try the biscuit that does not have any butter on it first. So the crumb inside is nice. It's very biscuit looking. Again, they smell like biscuits. They are not dry, no drier than any other biscuit is. They have really good texture and they taste really good. So all of those things are great for a gluten-free product. I don't feel that they have a starchy taste. The texture is slightly different than a traditional biscuit, of course, but it's not bad. Texture's good, taste is good, they're light. With the butter, as expected, it tastes even better. All right, final thoughts on these biscuits. They are from Daddy-O. They are certified gluten-free. They're out of Columbus, Ohio. I will make sure to link below to anything that I can find on them, as well as their, as far as their website and as far as their shop, if you want to look at ordering some of these. I do think they were more expensive than the Charleston biscuits that I did a while back, but that information will be linked below. If you are looking for a from scratch biscuit, definitely check out the one I made with Great Value gluten-free flour. That flour is really, really affordable, and the instructions were easy to follow. And if I remember correctly, that was from the back of the bag. So check that out. Guys, I hope you liked this video. Do you guys have products you like that I maybe need to look into? It maybe, you love the product and I maybe need to look at finding it myself and then showing more people about the product. Love to hear your comments below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.